Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to the Plant Spot. So today I want to talk about African violets. Yeah, I get it. Grandma's plant. But I want to tell you why I like them so much and maybe encourage you to give them a try. So if you like this type of content, stick around. As I mentioned in the intro, today my featured plant is an African violet. Now, the reason that I like them so much is because they add a pop of color to your collection. Look at this beauty right here. She's been nonstop flowering, and the care for them is fairly simple. So let's talk a little bit more. And this content is going to be very generalized. Now, doing my research, what I found was that these plants are actually native to the tropical rainforest of Africa. I didn't know that. I thought that, they were just regular old plants that you could find anywhere. I didn't know that their native habitat was in Africa. They're found typically, sorry, I'm picking at them. They're found typically near the border of Tanzania and Kenya. I thought that was really cool. I did not know that. As far as the light for these guys, right now here in my conditions, they started out in the cabinet, but I noticed that in the cabinet they were drying out too quick. So the fans were making them dry out and the light was a little bit too strong for them. So I ended up moving them here on this shelf under these grow lights right here. And we all know that these grow lights don't really put out a lot of light, but it's enough light for them to continue to flower and prosper. So I would say that's kind of bright light. Yeah, I would consider that kind of bright light. The one thing that you'll notice about these African violets is that if they're not getting enough light, they'll stretch like any other plant, right? The leaves will stretch and look for the light and they won't flower. So without enough light, you won't get the pretty little flowers. Also, another thing that you'll notice is if they get too much light, their leaves will burn. So you'll lose, that pretty dark green. If you look at the back of these leaves, they have that burgundy blush on them, which is very cool. And these two are two different types. The flowers are very similar. This one flowers purple, but look at the shape of the leaves. This one has a crinkle along the leaves and this one does not. As far as water is concerned, I typically, for these plants, they tell you to bottom water. I have a love-hate relationship with bottom watering. I typically, for these guys, start with watering them from the top. Now, I found this little watering can, and I know she's not very big, but she's practical. It allows me to water the plant. I can get in here without wetting the leaves and get it started. And then I let it sit in a little, water catch and let her absorb the water from the bottom. Now, this watering can, for me, has been a lifesaver. I got it on Amazon, and we'll put a link at the bottom if you're interested. They come in a couple of colors. And remember, we do get a tiny little bit of percentage if you do buy one. But that's neither here nor there. I find this to be very handy. Now, a little bit more about the watering. If you look online, they'll tell you that this plant likes that you shouldn't use regular tap water, that, the chemicals in the water will cause the leaves, this, that, and the third. And when we follow those concepts, that would apply to all of our plants. Me personally, I fill water jugs with a little bit of fertilizer, and the jugs sit, and I use those jugs throughout the week to water all of my plants. All of my plants get watered with fertilized water on every watering. I keep my jugs right here on the side of this table, and those are the ones that I use. Now, I don't know how much truth there is to if you fill your jugs and let them sit, you know, the chemicals and so forth will evaporate. I don't know. I just know that for my plants, the water becomes room temperature. I'm not watering with cold tap water, and they all seem to like it because everybody seems to be happy. Another thing to note about these plants and the watering is that they like to stay moist. Now, that's another pet peeve of mine, right? They want to be moist, but they don't want to be wet. How do you do that? Well, for me, with these guys, when I touch them, if I feel, I'm not sticking my finger in, I'm just touching the dirt. If I feel the top, like this one is a little dry, I water. And I just make sure that all the excess water drains out. That's how I keep my plants moist and not wet. Root rot. So, like any other of our tropical plants, right? They can all be prone to root rot. Now, to me, what causes root rot is when we water when the plant doesn't need watering. It's the frequency with which we water, not how much water that we give the plants. And that's kind of weird, but if you water your plant before it's time, that causes root rot. If you water your plant and you give it a lot of water during that one session, that does not cause root rot. So think about that for a minute. I know it's kind of weird. As far as temperatures, they will thrive in regular household temperatures between 65 and 80 degrees. What they don't like is just like every other plant. They don't like the fluctuation, right? So if you have them near a heat vent or someplace where they're getting, you know, forced air conditioning, that type of thing, you might notice a little change in the way that they react as far as like the leaves crisping or, you know, crispy leaves, I think, is the most common. Humidity levels. Well, as you can see behind me, the humidifier is running, but that's because we're in the wintertime and the heat is on. Typically, this humidifier doesn't turn on. I have her on the schedule where if the humidity in this room drops below 50, she kicks on. Funny thing is that since winter started here in Georgia and we've been in these 27-degree freaking temperatures, I can't wait till spring, y'all. 54 days? It's almost here. Anyway, it has not turned off. So it has been running nonstop trying to keep this humidity in the room to at least 50%. Being that these plants are from the tropical rainforest, we can assume that they enjoy a little bit more humidity. Now, when I say that, I don't mean that you need to go out and get a humidifier, right? I think that you can acclimate these plants very well to just regular household humidity. It's just that when you buy them, expect, you know, a little crisping here and there until they get used to where they are. And you should be fine. You don't need to go out and get a humidifier. Now let's talk about the substrate. Now I've got a couple of these and I'm going to show you one right here. Here's another one that I have that isn't as happy. She was actually struggling a little bit. This is one of the ones that was in the cabinet and it was getting full light and she didn't like that. So as of late, she was in a real teeny weeny little pot, and I took her out of that because obviously she was drying out too quick. She was down to like 4 or 5 leaves. She's putting out new growth in the center, which is good. When I repotted her, because they want to stay moist, they don't want to dry out. You know, that's a lot of things to consider. But they also want something that's light and airy, right? Where when you water it, the water is going to drain all out. So what I did was similar to my regular mix, just modified. I used cocoa coir, perlite, a little bit of vermiculite, and a touch of sand. I know, weird, right? Just a little bit of sand. Now, you don't have to go out and buy all of these ingredients. There are several African violet mixes out there that you could use that would work perfectly fine. And if you find that it doesn't have enough perlite for you, just add a little bit. And you should be great with that. Now, fertilization. If you do research on this, it'll tell you to fertilize once every 2 weeks during the growing season. Now, for me, I don't follow those rules. You rule breaker here. As long as my plant is growing and I see new growth and new leaves, I'm going to fertilize. Now, you might not fall into that pattern. You might want to do every 2 weeks or whatever the case is. I'm a firm believer that even though if the plant is not putting out foliage, if it ain't pulling out leaves up here, it is still growing. We can't see, well, in this particular pot, I can't see what's going on. But during the wintertime, when we think that our plants are not growing, I'm a firm believer that they are. We just don't see what's going on. They're putting out roots. They're doing something in here. So while you might reduce the amount or the frequency with which you fertilize, I believe that you should always fertilize because they need those nutrients that are not available in just regular old tap water. So that's something to think about too. Propagation. So I have not tried this yet. I did with my begonias, and that worked out really well. But they say that you can propagate these plants by leaf cutting. Now, I've done that before with, what's that plant that I'm not a big fan of? Peperomias. You could take a leaf cutting. Let me see. Let me come over here where you could see. You're supposed to be able to take a leaf cutting about like that with a little bit of the stem and be able to put it in that soil mix. And as long as you keep it moist, it should give you a plant from there. I'm going to try that. You know what? After this video, I'm going to take one of these stems and I'm going to try that to see if it actually works. And in a couple months, we'll come back and show you. But I did try that with a peperomia and I've tried it with my begonias and I did have success. With the begonias, you can actually propagate in water and still have success. So I am actually going to try that for you guys and see how that works out. And I'll come back to you with an update. Now, insects, pests, they are susceptible to everything that we know and hate. Mites, scale, thrips, mealybugs, and something that I've never experienced in my plant room, they say beetles like these. I'm guessing that you might have the potential of having beetles if you have these outdoors. I'm not quite sure. Well, shoot, I don't even know how the mealybugs get in the house, so it's possible that you could get a beetle in the house. But those are the insects that these plants are prone to. And then the last thing I have for you is that they're not toxic. And for those of you that have kids and pets and things like that, these babies are not toxic. So, yeah, they're not just grandma's plants. They are little pops of color that add a nice variation to your plant room. And look at the leaves, y'all. Look at the back of that. Isn't that pretty? Yeah, leaf girl here. What can I say? Anywho, I hope you enjoyed this type of content. We're almost at 1,000. So if you've got friends, send them the channel so that they can like and subscribe too. Leave me a comment. Do you guys grow this kind of stuff? Do you have any of these in your collection? I'd love to know. So don't forget, like, subscribe, comment, and talk to you real soon. Bye, y'all.